Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Alan Smason, and I'd like to welcome all of you to the NOLA Theater Talk Show. Again, we are presenting this as part of our outreach to the New Orleans theater community. The NOLA Theater Folk Facebook group is one of the places you can watch this show every Monday and Friday night that we're on, which is for the most part. Also on the theatercriticism.com Facebook page, not to be confused with the theatercriticism.com site, which of course does strictly reviews and will not be hosting this particular broadcast, as well as my own YouTube channel, which you can find by either looking at my name or the old account number there. So best way to do that is just go on YouTube and look up my name and you'll find it. Tonight we're going to be having several members of the Infringe Festival who will be with us to discuss the ongoing Fringe Festival. And of course, if those of you out there who don't know, it's sort of gone virtual this year, as all festivals have been unable to meet in public due to the restrictions in Orleans Parish. But the good news is that there's an opportunity for you out there to participate in the festival in a meaningful way that will actually help artists who are trying to establish careers, trying to showcase some of their art and their work, and essentially allow you to help give some assistance to people who are looking to start their careers. And we'd like to tell you a little bit more about that. But first, in order to do that correctly, I'm going to bring in our first guest for the night, the executive director of the Infringe Festival, who is, of course, John Broder. And John, want to thank you for being with us tonight.
Hey, thank you for having me.
As I said, you and I know each other from other ways. Obviously, until a few months ago or so, you had been the executive director of the Gambit Big Easy Awards, which encompassed not only theater but also music and dance and the classical arts as well. And you've moved away from that to be able to be a full-time executive director with the Infringe Festival. And do you prefer Infringe Fest or Infringe Festival?
It's Infringe Fest is the technical name for it, but as long as our name is on your lips, I'm happy to have you talking about us.
I don't want to make an error, so I'll call it Infringe Fest from now on, and we'll keep it at that. But again, you never know whether or not you're shortening something inappropriately, and I always try to be as accurate as I can be. Now, you were faced with a rather daunting challenge sometime around March or April. I started to ask you, I said, what are you going to do about Infringe? Because, we're not sure whether or not we're going to be able to still meet by that time. And you already had started to work on Plan B, but I think you probably, like so many people, had to rethink Plan B into Plan C or D, didn't you?
Yeah, it has definitely evolved as we've gone through the process. I got kind of a weird idea to just hold it a little bit virtually, in that instead of live streaming the shows, we would film them as they were being performed. It's sort of a one-take deal. It is very much in the spirit of Infringe and I think Fringe theater in general. So it's been a fun, wild experience, very much a learning experience too, having not done anything film related before. So that's been a lot to learn.
Okay, so that's the one thing that we really kind of need to talk a little bit about, is the fact that it's different now. You're actually doing something now which is not really a typical Infringe. You might have films as part of the Infringe Fest, but you're not necessarily going to be presenting films entirely as a entire film or festival production, right?
Right. No, we're definitely a live theater experience, and unfortunately, not being able to do that, we had to find a way to sort of get around it. And we are a smaller festival, so we couldn't do some of the things that some of the larger festivals like Orlando did. An incredible live festival this year with, I think it was close to 20 or 30 shows that they live streamed. So we didn't have quite that sort of scope, but I think that we've got some really exciting work that for people to see.
Well, let me first off welcome you again to the show, and I want to go over a little bit of the history of your group and other historical fringe groups and where they came from, et cetera. But first thing I'm going to bring up is what we're having tonight to drink. I have a glass of wine, but it's not just any wine. It is a Royal Grenade from France. It's a Merlot. I got this over at Kosher Cajun because I do drink kosher wine inside my house.
Nice.
So I can't have just any run of the mill, wine. Although it could be very good wine. I just, when I bring something inside the house, it's generally kosher. So what do you have?
I actually just have some of the best water money could buy. I have to be up at 4 a.m. tomorrow for school, so I have to,
Okay.
watch myself.
All right, I understand that. So now where are you going to be teaching?
I'm not teaching. I'm actually a student right now
Oh,
at
okay.
the New Orleans Culinary and Hospitality Institute.
Oh, I should remember that. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're going into. Are you going to be doing a lot of pastries and things? That's what you really want to do?
Yeah, I'm in the baking and pastry program.
Yeah,
Yeah,
fantastic.
it's
Well,
been.
if you need any help along that line, I know that Jesse Boykin was a pastry chef years ago at Commander's Palace,
Oh,
and of course
nice.
she translated that experience into her being in charge of the culinary program over at NOCA. Hopefully
Fantastic.
hopefully, but of course, this past year she had a little something else in the oven, and so she's been a little bit busy with her newborn. But
Right.
again, congratulations to her. Okay, so people come up to you probably all the time and say, "Fringe Festival, what is that all about?" And again, I remember the year was like what, 82 or 83, wasn't that the first Fringe Festival popped up?
Yeah, in Edinburgh. Yeah.
Right. And we call it Edinburgh in this country, but it's
Right.
pronounced Edinburgh if you happen to be in Britain or in Scotland or someplace else in the United Kingdom. But
Right.
so essentially what happened was there were a number of people, sort of like what happened here in New Orleans at the Jazz Fest. There were a number of acts that didn't make Jazz Fest. So Chaz, who I think
Mm-hmm.
played the washboard and whatever, washboard Chaz, he came up with the Chaz Fest. And he
Yep.
invited all those acts that didn't make the cut to come and become, a part of his alternative festival. And it became, something of a sideline. And I know that in Edinburgh, they did the same thing. In a sense, they organized a bunch of these people who didn't make the cut in the actual Edinburgh Theater Festival. And so they basically didn't have a name or whatever, but somebody who was a newspaper critic or theater critic or whatever said things that are happening on the Fringe are actually far more interesting than what's happening at the actual theater festival, and the name clicked.
Right.
Now, from what I understand, though, you have to actually, in order to call yourself a Fringe festival, you actually have to be a part of a Fringe festival group, correct?
Well, it's not. I think you're talking about the United States Association of Fringe Festivals, which is USAF, and we are actually a member of that. But I don't think that they're as iron-fisted about the whole thing. It's not a. There's no legal binding for that I know of. And I did go to the meeting with them last year in Portland, Maine, which I almost went to Portland, Oregon, which would have been a terrible thing. But I went to visit with them in Portland, Maine, where they held their annual meeting, and really fantastic group of people, very supportive. But as far as I know, in America, in Canada, actually, you do have to be a part of the association. But in America, I don't believe you do.
So between the present Infringe Fest and the original New Orleans Fringe Festival, there was the Faux F-A-U-X-R-E-A-L, which purported to basically take over the operations of the New Orleans Fringe Festival. but after the first year or so, did not actually come back. It I think was headed up by Ben Mintz, who had NOLA Defender at one point, I believe. And anyway, the original people who were involved with the New Orleans Fringe Festival apparently froze the name, from what I understand, so that there can never be another New Orleans Fringe Festival. That may be incorrect on my part, but I believe that they wanted to make sure that whoever came along after them would not be able to necessarily utilize that name again.
Yeah, they had the trademark on the name till it expires. So that's coming soonish.
Okay, so if it does expire, and do you have to get their blessings if you wanted to retitle yourself as the New Orleans Fringe Festival again, or does it matter?
No, I wouldn't have to get their blessing. I might, I have a rapport with them, having had some shows in their festival myself. And I'm not trying to step on anybody's toes. And frankly, we're doing something different enough that while I might grab those rights, I don't think that we would necessarily change our name at this point, because we are doing something different.
Or you could call it the Infringe New Orleans Fringe Festival later on. Yeah, that would be, an identifier. Well, okay. So again, we have the history now. Everybody should know now. Infringe Fest, where it is. You started this up. Was it 2 years ago that you were involved, or was last year the first?
Well, I actually didn't start it. It was started by Dennis Mon and Michael Martin. And they ran it for 2 or 3 years. And then last year I stepped in, and last year was my first year running it.
Okay. All right. So we got all that. Okay. Obligatory history out of the way.
Yeah.
Now we know where we are, and you're in charge. And again, one of the things that I think struck me very early on, after I talked to you about what are you going to do, was you came up after the many protests of Black Lives Matter across the country, of coming up, imagining some ways that you could engage the public, but also, help give a space, if you will, an artistic expression to some of the people who are maybe not already established in the business as far as it goes, either in theater or in film or what have you. So you came up with the idea of what you called at that time, and I don't know if you've retitled, but a BIPOC festival for the Infringe. Now, I don't know whether or not that's the popular choice of terms that you're using still, or
well, it's
not.
called the name of the actual event is Volume Up. It's Creators of Color Virtual Fest, and we really just wanted to, in this time, doing a Fringe festival is so much about this experience that while you can't hold it in your hand, is so tangible, and it lasts a week and at least, and you really walk away with a great deal at the end of it. And that I really wanted to be able to offer that to some people still, that even though we couldn't leave them with this experience, we could leave them with something tangible, which is how we landed on the film idea. So at the end of the run online of these films, the playwrights will be given all of the footage. They'll be given the complete edits. They'll be given all of the rights to do with their show whatever they like in the future, whether that's to recut it or to monetize it, whatever. That's really what the goal was here, was to put something in their hands that they could have at the end of the day.
Was there a limit on the time that you had? In other words, if somebody submitted something that was only 7 minutes long and somebody else submitted something that was 22 minutes long, were there parameters that you had?
Yeah, I tried to keep it between 40 minutes about and an hour and a half. We didn't want to go too short or too long.
Okay. So, and again, I'm going to bring in Tori next. So, want to make sure that he knows, because I'm not seeing his video showing up. So it might be that there he is. Okay, very good. Let me bring in, and again, we had Tori on not that long ago in one of our conversations. Tori, welcome to the show. We want to thank you for being with us. You were on what, a week and a half ago, maybe?
Yeah, not too long ago. Hi, thanks. It's good to be back.
So you're a familiar face for the audience, hopefully, out there. That was when you were dealing with. If I'm not mistaken, we were talking about another production company at the time called Radical Buffoons, and you're associated with them as their assistant artistic director, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. See, the memory hasn't gone all yet completely. And now, how are you associated with Infringe? What is it that you were involved with this year's productions?
Yeah, so I actually had the opportunity to direct one of the three pieces that was selected for the festival. I directed the piece titled "Speakeasy" by an incredible playwright who will be joining us soon, I think. And so I directed one of the three pieces.
Fantastic. And again, you mentioned the playwright, and I will be getting to him in just a second. But there were originally three pieces, but apparently only two were able to be shown for whatever reasons. I'm assuming some logistic problem I had encountered, and production couldn't come out of that. What, by the way, will happen with that third work, John? Will that be kept over for next year, or what?
In the spirit of the piece, they received all of the footage, just like all of the other artists. So it's now theirs in their hands.
Okay, it's now theirs. Okay, understood. All right. Well, you mentioned the playwright. I know I want to bring Obadiah in now, so let's go ahead and have him come into the stream as well. Welcome, Obadiah Jones Darrell, to the show. Again, we've had some little technical problems from time to time, but want to thank you for being here. And again, I hope that you enjoy talking a little bit about your project. First off, what did you bring in terms of something to drink tonight? We already heard about John and his water.
Well, I also have some water that's from Cleveland, where I am right now. I'm in Cleveland, Ohio.
Wonderful. I don't know if you know this, but I lived almost 2 years of my life in Cleveland.
Oh, really?
Yes. I got off a plane on August the 26th of 2005 from New Orleans to Cleveland to spend a little weekend. My sister lived up there, and I had another girlfriend up there, etc. I was going to go visit. We were going to have a nice time for the weekend. And guess what happened? Katrina. So I ended up writing some works, etc., and they got accepted to the Cleveland Jewish News, and I ended up becoming their staff reporter, full-time IT producer, and whatever, a lot of other things. But so I got to know Cleveland pretty well. What part of Cleveland did you live in? The west side or?
I'm on the east side. I'm in Shaker Heights.
Ah, that's where I was. I was right by.
Oh, really?
Matter of fact, when I got, I don't know if are you still up there right now near?
Yeah.
Well, Shaker Square.
I'm by Shaker Square.
All right, you know the Dave's Market that's there?
I do.
Well, it was not open yet when I was there, and there was a little sign saying opening Monday, which is the day that Katrina happened. And I said, it's a shame I won't be here to see this store. And I want you to know, I ended up using my food stamps for, whatever the program is, up there, because I had no money coming in, et cetera. About 3 weeks later, I was using that program to get food at the Dave's Market. So
wow.
Small world. So in any event, welcome to the program. So are you originally from Cleveland?
No, I'm actually originally from Canada. And so I just moved. I've been in Cleveland for about 3 years now. This is writing Speakeasy was my first official production that I wrote since moving to the United States.
Well, you must tell me first off the title of it, Speakeasy. I'm sure there must be a number of different permutations about the way you take it, et cetera. There are people here in New Orleans who talk about prohibition all the time, and of course in New York. There are very famous speakeasies that were up there as well. But does this have anything to do with alcohol?
It does. Like I wanted to play. I wanted the play to recognize like the prohibition heritage of that I was able to see when I came to Cleveland, because I went to some old speakeasies that they have here, and then it inspired me to also have it as a play on word, because I wanted this. The story is really about people being kind to themselves and the inner struggle that you have, and the idea of speaking to yourself in a secret place is kind of the foundation of the production.
And just so you'll know that I know a little bit about the Cleveland history. If you go to, I believe it's Lake Lawn, like we have a Lake Lawn here, cemetery. It's either Lake Lawn or Lakeside. Elliot Ness of the Untouchables is buried there in Cleveland.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
So there is a little bit of Prohibition history up there as well. By the way, I didn't get a chance to ask Tori. Tori, what did you bring into the room tonight to imbibe?
Well, I'm also drinking a Merlot, but it's definitely just middle of the road. And I think I was drinking boxed wine last time I was here, and so I didn't want to, stop the tradition.
This is what I had here. So those of you who are wondering, $10 a bottle, like $10.99 a bottle. This is French wine, imported, and it's not bad. It's very tasty, and I would put it up against certainly $10 or $11 bottle of California wine. It's an import, and you get it at Kosher Cajun. That's not a plug for them, as much as it is to explain what I'm drinking tonight, because we ran a little bit short on time, and I didn't have an opportunity to do a lot of the preparation that I normally do for a lot of the shows. So Obadiah, again, how did you hear about this Infringe Fest if you're in Cleveland?
Yeah, well, originally the production, I was looking to do it in Cleveland, but then due to COVID, all live theater was canceled. But I really wanted to find a festival that wanted to be able to present it in a virtual way, but still keeping it with the live tradition of presenting a production. So I just started researching Fringe festivals across the United States. And then when I found out about New Orleans, I was really excited because I loved the musical history of the city and the area. I thought this would be a perfect place for the first chance to share the full production with the world.
So tell me a little bit about what it was that you did, the process. Was there an online form that you had to fill out or whatever, and then they contacted you after expressing interest?
Yeah, well, I went to the website and I sent an email, and then John responded to me very quickly, and he was really helpful, just encouraging me to apply for the festival. And it was pretty easy to apply as a playwright, because I think I was just interested in wanting to connect with the festival, and I think that the festival made it easy for me to submit my work. So
was there a period of time that you submitted it? I assume you submitted it as a treatise of some sort, or the actual work that was written out, the play, the manuscript. You sent it to John to peruse.
Yeah, so it was in the summertime, I believe, John, when I submitted the my application, and I think there was a period of time like when I had to send them my just more information about the production and what my goals were, and the team that I wanted to work with. And so a big part of the festival was working with local artists in New Orleans. So that's where I started reaching out to different people in the community, because I wanted to be sure to give roles to other, to local performers. And that's where I was connected with Tori, and Tori found an amazing cast, and the ball just kept rolling. It was a really good experience to be able to collaborate with everybody.
Okay, John. So tell me what it was that you saw in his work that inspired you, that got him to the finish line, as it were. I'm not hearing you, John.
Sorry. Yep.
It's all right. There you
go. As much as I would love to take credit for having the great taste that landed us Obadiah's piece, I actually had a submission committee made up of local artists of color who chose the pieces that would come in. So I think they loved how ready to go it was. He came to us with a full script. He came to us, it's a musical, so he had the songs written out. And I think that the themes just really spoke to the committee as to what people are dealing with right now as concerns, their identity and how we are treating ourselves.
All right, now I want to find out from Tori how he got involved.
Yeah, so I actually, can you hear me? Yeah. So yeah, Obadiah, I think, reached out to a few folks here in town, and it actually came to me from a few people that this playwright was looking for a director here in town to direct his play, and I, for me, quarantine started. I was directing in the bar of a Tokyo hotel with the Tennessee Williams Theater Company here in town, and we had just finished our designers run. We had gone home. It went terribly. I had taken, I'd stayed up all night, really making notes, ready to go into the next day of rehearsal, and got a call that day from the producers saying that we were, the production would not be happening. We were going into quarantine, really, and we didn't really know what that meant. And so that was really kind of how I started off the pandemic, and then went, many months there without creating work, without having any opportunity to really be involved with the theater community, with my friends, making art, like I've been doing pretty consistently over the last couple of years. And so
I can assure you, nobody knew what quarantine was about.
Yeah. And so it was really, Speakeasy really kind of came to me at a really, a time I was eager to get back to work, and a time where I was, really looking to dig into something that was exciting. I'd never really directed a musical ever. Most people fall in love with theater through musicals. I'm the same, and I had never really gotten a chance yet to direct a musical, and so that was exciting. And so the ball just kind of kept rolling, like Obadiah said, from there.
And again, how long was the? I'm hearing myself come back. So maybe it's on Tori. I'm going to take Tori. I'm going to go ahead and turn you off on your audio just for a second, Tori, because all of a sudden you came in. And all right, let's see if that works. All right, Obadiah. How long was it after you actually were able to start shooting? Once you got the go ahead from John, when was the shooting taking place, and how long did it take?
Well, Tori was on the ground doing the actual shoot in early November, but leading up to the shoot, like all rehearsals, they were doing rehearsals over Zoom. So I was able to join in on some of the rehearsals here in Cleveland, and participate, give notes, and like give some music direction. But pretty much like Tori and the crew were able to do everything remotely until we came up to the actual filming of production. So I wasn't actually able to come down to New Orleans for the filming, but Tori kept me in the loop how things are going.
We'll get you down here yet. Don't worry.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Tori, I'm going to try to put you back in the conversation. If you have a speaker that's on, or you're trying to listen through Facebook or anything like that at the same time, stop it. Don't do that. It will cause feedback. So just try to listen through headphones if you got it. And if you don't have earbuds, then keep the volume on very, very low, and hopefully we'll be able to go on from there. I normally would like to try to input the films that I show through the clips, but unfortunately, as I had problems earlier, we're just going to show this thing with the through a tab, and I'll just show it through the website. So I'm going to go ahead and get that set up. I'm going to share that out and try to get everybody up to speed so we can see. This is going to be a clip from Speakeasy, and this is one of two. The other one is called A God Called Bitch. That's correct?
Sorry,
John, I'm not hearing you.
Yeah, I keep muting it so that I don't make any untoward noises when I'm not speaking. But the second show is A God Called Bitch, and unfortunately, Candace, the author, wasn't able to join us tonight. She's not feeling well, But that show is a really touching sort of look at a young woman who is on the precipice of the decision of whether or not to keep her baby and what it will mean for her to bring a child of color into the world. And it's really beautiful and touching, and I hope people get to see it.
All right, we're going to see Speakeasy now, and we'll be back at the end of the clip.
It's not going to.
All right, we work.
Get you anywhere.
There we go.
If it wouldn't work with someone who works at the bank or at a post office.
Oh well. I guess for some reason it didn't like us. I'm going to try it again. Let me bring it back.
With someone who works at the bank or at a post office. Why would you try it on me? Money buys you respect. Who do you think you are? Keep it up and you're bound to get decked. I don't have time for this money. It's killing me every day. I put on a smile. I go the extra mile. But I'm not here to play. I have dreams that go beyond these walls.
Okay, I guess that was it. We'll stop the sharing on that, and hopefully we can get back on. Tell me who the two actors were in that, Tori, since you directed.
Yeah, so that's Akeem Welch, and he is a choir director here in town. He's also in a band called Lion. Plugging them, go follow them. They're really great. And also the second performer is Lexi Fame, Zell Lexi Fame. Both incredible performers, and just a real. I had actually done a reading with Zell and had wanted an opportunity to work with her, and Akeem was had been wanting to really do some theater work, and it was really so much fun to get to work with him.
So Obadiah, this is set in Prohibition. What year? 20s, 27?
Oh, it's inspired by that era, but it's a modern production, like takes place now.
I got you.
Yeah.
Okay. So it is inspired by Prohibition, not actually dealing with it. So in terms of the musical itself, what was it you were trying to say in terms of what was it intending to do in terms of the message, if there was one?
Yeah.
I assume it was.
Yeah. Well, the story is about a young man named Bernard who just lost his job. And so he goes to the speakeasy to kind of drink away his last few cents. And then he meets Jenny, who is the bartender at the speakeasy. And Jenny is actually an immigrant who is working at the speakeasy, but it's an under the table job. And so the scene that the clip was Bernard speaking to Jenny, and he was not really treating her very well, thinking, oh, you're somebody who's working at this job and I can take advantage of you. And then she was speaking back to him in song saying, like, who do you think you are, treating me the way that it's not, you're better than this. You don't need to treat people like this. So this is the beginning of the conversation between Jenny and Bernard. And they get to the point where the emotion raises where they just have to communicate through song rather than through dialogue.
Does the conversation get elevated to the point where they have a relationship that develops as a result, or is that
There
something for us
is.
to find out?
So it begins between Jenny and Bernard. They have a relationship, but it's more of a tender connection. Like they start to understand each other. I think because Bernard's trying to make the advances that he wants to have like have a relationship, but then Jenny is saying, no, you need to respect yourself and respect me in order for us to really learn more about each other. And then the third character, Ricky, comes to the bar and he's the troublemaker. And so he actually ends up pushing Bernard to explore being an entrepreneur to make money to get himself out of the situation that he's in by losing his job. So then the play turns from the beginning where you go to the speakeasy just to kind of drink away your problems, and all of a sudden you see it as a way of criticizing the world, the situation of work, how people are treated badly by having a minimum wage or low-paying jobs, and then through the production it just grows the relationship between the three people.
Now, I assume up in Cleveland you would have had this work done at one of the smaller playhouses, right? Like
yeah, well, so it was selected by the Cleveland Public Theater they have a workshop series called the Test Play, where they select 4 local playwrights to write a production, and then it's mounted with a run of 4 days, of 4 full runs of the show. And so it would have been performed there with the local cast, which we cast with local director here in Cleveland. And so when we weren't able to do it live, we ended up doing the first act as a virtual Zoom performance.
Gotcha.
But we weren't able to do it all the way through.
And let me just ask: are there plans? Now you've got it on film; people can see it online. And John, tell me a little bit about the process. How does somebody see the film Speakeasy if they want to?
It's really simple. You just go to infringefest.com. You click on the poster for the film that you want to see, and it'll take you straight to the Vimeo page where you can rent it.
And I'm assuming it's $10 a film.
It is $10 a film. Say that
Go
again.
ahead. I was just saying. I want to make sure that we got that in, and you can get it online like everything else with a credit card. But the website is infringefest.com, correct?
That's correct, infringefest.com. And if there is anyone out there who doesn't have the means and can't afford to see it, they're more than welcome to email me at johninfringe, JON infringe@gmail.com. And I am more than happy to help people see these awesome shows.
Well, that's great. Now, the third person, Tori, who was the third person, Ricky, that he mentioned? Who plays that role?
Theresa Boykin, who has done some work here in town. He's been in a couple of shows. He does some music work as well.
Okay. What was the main thing that you wanted to do was to make sure you had good singers as well as actors, or was the acting more essential at the very beginning?
Well, I actually really set out to find 3 actor, singer, musicians, because I think one of the things that was exciting to me about this was also the role and the theme the music plays. And so there's really kind of this dissection of 3 personalities that happen. And so I really wanted to capture that in the music. And so the initial idea was to really have each of the performers also play their music as well as sing. And then over the process that really kind of morphed and shifted as the work grew. I mentioned I've never directed a musical, but holding my first really music rehearsal over Zoom was quite a challenge. And so
that's the main thing. People don't understand that to get a lot of the sync of the music and the singing together, so you can hear people at the same time as you're singing. The instrumentation comes in the right time. that's almost impossible to do. I mean, Seth Rudetsky on his Sunday concerts is able to do that, and they run it through a program. I don't remember, like Music Jam or something like that. There's a name of a program that gets the two different sources to sync up, and that's really the most important part of the puzzle. But to do these things over the internet is very challenging. Obadiah, when you were watching that, did you see the technical challenges that were inherent in that?
No, when the actual live performance, I felt like I was watching a live theater show. So I feel that they were able to capture what I was hoping the production was able to do. They were able to do that because, like I said earlier, I had done it over Zoom, just the first act. And I mean, I'm very happy with the work that everybody did, but it wasn't able to capture that live feeling. And so that's why I'm just so pleased to have been able to join the Infringe Fest, because they were able to stay true to that, that intention of keeping it feel like it's live.
Well, again, I'm so glad that you were able to take part in this, especially from as far away as Cleveland. You've been to New Orleans before?
No, I haven't. No.
Well, now you got a good reason to come and visit.
Exactly.
So, hopefully we can see you in. And Tori, we know you're going to be here working with the Radical Buffoons. But I didn't want the night to go too far before we mention the other program that's on the bill as well, a guy called Bitch. So it might be appropriate at this time for me to thank you all for being here, Obadiah and Tori. And let me talk to John about the other film that's in the Infringe Festival or Infringe Fest that's up there on the website. So again, thank you for being here. Much success with this, and I know that. My friend who's also up in Cleveland, my former editor, Cynthia Dettelbach, is also a playwright up in Cleveland. So if you get a chance to see any of her works, please, by all means, tell her that I had sent her and that you said hello on my behalf. Okay.
Will do. Thank you so much for having us.
All right. You're more than welcome. And again, Tori, thanks for being here as well. Again, Obadiah, Jones, Darrell, and Tori Hayward, we want to thank them for being here tonight. I just want to make sure that we have an opportunity to talk about the other show, and so again, I would normally stay for the whole hour with everybody, but we're gonna see if John and I can handle the rest of the duty. So tell me, John, Candace, no fault on her, but she was unfortunately she came down with a little bit of an illness tonight. She wasn't feeling well. Hopefully nothing serious. Because anytime anybody starts to cough or whatever, I always think the worst. Are you going to get a test? So tell me a little bit about the second work, a guy called Bitch. Is it feminist in any way, or is it?
I don't think that that the message that it is attempting to send, and I've seen it a couple times, but I of course can't necessarily speak to the full intent of the author. But I don't think that thematically it would be viewed as necessarily feminist. It is about women. It is written by a woman. It is the entire cast is women. So yes, is it feminist? It is feminist.
It sounds feminist to me.
But it's really more about a young Black woman who is facing what it means to bring a child into this world, especially in the current climate.
So again, I don't know all the background on this particular character. How many characters are in the play?
There's actually 6 characters in the play.
Okay.
Well, there's actually several. There's a few more than that as well, but there's 6 actors in the play. Gotcha.
So some play multiple roles.
Yeah. Yes, some play multiple roles. And COVID was the real. Most of the other productions, were either solo or very small cast. So COVID was a concern for this, and they brought transparent face shields for the performance. They really went out of their way to make sure that everyone was well cared for during the filming, and the cast just does a fantastic job.
Okay, now tell me a little bit about the process for the filming. Was it shot on video?
Yes, it was shot. We had Moxie Media shoot it, which I don't know if you've met the gentleman Will, who did all of the filming for the Big Easy Awards. He did all of the live camera work at the Big Easy Awards, so he has a lot of experience in that. So they brought 2 cameras, and we had a sound guy there, and we went to the Always Lounge and filmed A God Called Bitch in the back room, and we filmed Speakeasy in the front room.
I got you. Yeah, because that looked like the front room I was about to say for the clip that we showed. Yeah. So
right, and we.
Yeah.
I was just going to say we did it very much in the spirit and the style of the Infringe festival, of any Fringe festival that I've experienced, where they had 2-hour slots to come in and run it. It got filmed as they ran it, no cuts, live edited there at the venue by the director, and then they had to get out and let the next people come in. So it was very different from how we usually do it, except for that.
who directed the A God Called Bitch?
The writer directed it herself. Now these are the stage direction. Candace. Yeah, Candace Robertson, and she's a student at UNO, I believe. She in their playwriting program.
Okay. So and again, what was it about Candace's work when she sent it to the committee that you got any comments that you can remember that the committee felt so compelled to select her? Do you remember anything or that stood out?
I think one of the things about it was that this was the voice of a strong Black woman who was telling this story, and as we've seen recently over the past couple of years and months even, the voices of the Black women in our community are very important to listen to, and they're really fighting for and standing up for things that will affect all of us in a really great way, for front runners for civil rights,
Sure. Yeah.
and stuff like that. So I think that was what really grabbed them about this piece. Not to mention the fact that the writing is just beautiful. The prose is gorgeous.
Well, for somebody so young too, if you tell me she's still a student, of course,
I mean, I wouldn't venture to guess her age, but I don't think that she's necessarily like 22.
Okay.
I think she's a little older than that.
Well, yeah, I was thinking maybe late 20s, but that's okay.
Yeah, that might be true.
Yeah. So, and again, I have nothing to base that on, but just from the standpoint of you said that maybe she'd gotten her undergraduate degree and was working on her master's or whatever.
Yeah.
Or her master of fine arts or whatever. Yeah. I guess the thing of it is to let people know that they have the opportunity to help not only. I'm assuming you get a little something out of this as well.
70% of the proceeds are going to the artists themselves, and then 30% goes to web hosting, etc.
And what about you for your festival for next year? You need to have some continuing capital, etc., don't you?
Yeah, that would be a great thing. And if you know anybody who would like to be a sponsor next year, I'll tell you honestly, at this point, the way where it stands is, would I do this exact same thing again? I'm not sure. My love is really the live theater experience. Right. Yeah. So I think at this point, and we probably won't start planning our next Infringe Fest until we are able to have some live theater happening again. So,
and again, you don't know, but maybe by November, December of next year, when you're going to have it, I'm not quite sure, but usually November is when you do it, or at least traditionally. But whenever you decide to perhaps mount it, the restrictions may, enough people, herd immunity, enough people out there, who've gotten inoculated, may say, okay, you can have 50% of the theaters filled, or 75% or whatever at that point. So maybe it'll be viable at that point, because the Fringe Festival's always made money by packing a lot of people into these venues. And
Yeah.
a lot of the venues are a lot smaller. If you have to socially distance in these small venues, you might be able to get 6 or 7 people, and that's not going to be viable for the artist or for you, right?
Yeah. No. And I think that, that's partially why sponsorships are so important. But we are a small festival. We're not afraid to be small, and if it takes us a little extra time to grow because of the coronavirus, then we're happy to, take as long as it takes, keep everybody safe, and just keep giving people at least a home to put their show on. When we're happening. So.
All right. Well, before we adjourn for the night and let you move on to the world of pastry shells, etc. I would be remiss if I didn't mention your previous job on the Big Easy committee and even the challenges that they've had. So we're going to mention the fact again. Infringe Fest is going on now, and
Available until they're available.
Yeah,
Sorry.
January the what? January
20th.
Okay, so not quite another 3 weeks. You can go see all these films, and again, just go to infringefest.com and avail yourself of the ability to see these very interesting works, original works that are being presented for the first time via the website. And again, I want to let everybody know that this is a good thing that you all are doing. I mean, it's helping people, not only people of color, but it's helping people in the Infringe Fest, get their message across of inclusion and equity and diversity, obviously. So we get that out of the way.
Thanks.
Let's talk Big Easy Awards just a little bit. All right. Because I know how frustrating it was to you a little bit. And now I got you here. We're all together. We only have a few minutes left. So don't worry, it's not going to be too painful. But
sure.
You had tried to mount this, it was a real Herculean task on your behalf, because for the first time, the Big Easy Awards were going to have the music awards, the dance awards, the classical arts awards, and the theater. And am I leaving anything out? All of them in one. We're all going to socially gather. And the main thing we were talking about was this is an idea for everybody to get together and from all different walks of the arts to come together. And COVID hit. And all of a sudden you said, gee, April, maybe even June will work out. And so then we did June. And then June, no, maybe September. And then September didn't make it either. And then eventually, they ended up saying, we're not going to have it this year. And they went ahead and in November, they published the list. And I would have loved to have had Jean Foster on from the Gambit magazine, who is now taken over as the editor, et cetera, and had been in charge of running it. And, it was difficult to get together. I have a very busy schedule, et cetera. So I wasn't able to get in some of the meetings, et cetera. But I would have loved to have done a little bit more. And I still would love to do more than what we're doing, in terms of it. But she apparently made a decision, or the committee made a decision, I'm not quite sure who, that there would be no awards announced for 2020, and that there would be no awards really announced again until 2022 for 2021, hopefully.
Yeah.
And now you had nothing to do with this; you were out of it. So I guess my question is, and I don't need to put you on the spot, but do you think that's fair, or is it just the way it has to be?
What is fair in these situations? Fair is whatever is going to work out best for all of the parties on all of the sides. And, I guess that they came to the decision that was going to be the best compromise for them. I mean, it gives them time to get it together as well. It's going to be so weird doing anything after this. I think we're all going to have to learn how to do stuff all over again. Thankful that I don't have to do that.
So I guess I have to ask. I mean, is there still a lot of support? Because you got to remember, for many years, and people probably, you and I both know this. For many years, this was not put on by Gambit magazine. It was the foundation. Give me the whole.
Oh goodness, it was FEDE, the Foundation for Entertainment Development and Education.
All right, now this is a foundation that was founded essentially by Clancy and Margot DuBose.
Yeah,
and
in like
they were
93 or something.
And the idea was that was the front organization, so that it wasn't Gambit magazine putting on the awards, that it was another foundation that was taking the money in, nonprofit, etc., and then passing the money on to the artists, etc. So they were able to do everything legally without anything. If they had put it through Gambit magazine, then it might be considered taxable or something. I mean, there might have been some other problems with that. So
yeah, you couldn't have liquor sponsors to give away free liquor.
Right.
There were a whole bunch of hoops to jump through.
So lo and behold, Gambit magazine gets bought by John Georges, who has the Advocate, and of course there's the Advocate and there's the Times-Picayune, two competing newspapers, and then John Georges buys the Times-Picayune.
Not anymore.
Yeah. So he bought all three, the big alternative paper first, then he bought his chief competitor. And I guess the first thing he did was he bought the Advocate in Baton Rouge. So, he actually now is the true king of all media in New Orleans in terms
monopoly,
of but now it is a Gambit branded enterprise, so that now it is the Gambit Big Easy Awards. And for 20 some odd years, they would say, no, it's not. It's the Big Easy Foundation. So now we have to relearn that whole thing as well. But the point is that it is going to continue. And as far as you know, or able to discern, Gambit and the Advocate and everybody else are still firmly behind supporting the arts, supporting theater, supporting music, supporting dance, supporting the classical arts. Correct?
Yes, absolutely. In fact, Jean herself is actually very passionate about it, and they have a new editor there who recently moved here from, I can't remember where, but he is also very passionate about the arts. Of course, from the higher ups, they're always going to be, they want it to be an event that, if it doesn't turn a profit, at least pays for itself. So it may take on some different guises and qualities than what people are used to in order to make that happen. But I think that it is something that Gambit and the people who are behind it are interested in continuing.
Well, I'm going to just put this out here right now. For many years, we had to brand our theater awards with the music people, etc., and then eventually we were able to break loose, and it actually supported us. Not only it made money, as far as I know, it didn't lose any money. I don't believe with the number of people that came in.
Luckily, at that time, Harrah's was providing the venue, all of the food, and all of the liquor, at no cost. So that it. Basically, all of the money that it made went to giving the grants and paying for the show. So, unfortunately, once Harrah's dropped out,
pulled back a little bit, they didn't pull back completely at first. They said, "Well, you're not going to have all the liquor now. You're not going to have all the food. We're going to pull back a little bit." And so 1 year was a little bit less, and the next year was a little bit less, and then finally they said, "By the way, if you want to have the place this year, it's going to be
And then the lady who was so interested in carrying it on lost her job there. Harrah's did some restructuring a few years ago. I don't know if you remember, but she lost her job, and so we, our champion for us there was no longer.
Hopefully,
in place.
Like I said, I'm planting this seed. Hopefully, if you want to do a small event for just theater, that's not going to cost a whole lot. If we can find somebody to host it, etc., it doesn't have to have opulent champagne and caviar. You can have a small theater and have people come in and buy tickets. I mean, you may not be able to sell tickets for a lot of people, but I would love to have our theater people back. In a way that's just separate from everybody else the first year, since we're going to have all of this, probably the restrictions in place for a while longer. I'm just saying.
That's an event.
We can do something,
That's an event I would love to go to.
Yeah.
And,
we'll keep it at that.
Running around.
All right. Anyway, John Broder, I want to thank you for being with us tonight. Again,
thank you, Alan.
John Broder is the executive director for Infringe Fest. Earlier tonight, we had Tori Hayward, Obadiah Jones Darrell, and again, Candace Robertson. We hope you get well. We're sorry that you weren't here to talk about your product, but we hope that people will check out A God Called Bitch. I didn't want to say that on stepping out. It was difficult for me to say. I just called it A God Called B.
It's a PG word. It's PG. You can say it in prime time.
I'm saying it now because on the internet it's a little bit different. People understand. But you never know who's going to tune in into a TV show that's for the public.
Out.
And I'm a little bit leery about that. But in any event, I want to thank you for being with it tonight. Again, thank you also. Last year you were able to be part of Brick, one of the shows that we presented. And again, I encourage everybody, please send me some plays. If you've got some plays out there, we'd like to produce them. I don't necessarily have to direct or produce them myself, but I would like to be able to put them on. If you've got some ideas about some things, if you've got some more, John, please send, because we got lots of Mondays that are open between now and the end of this year. I don't know how much, interest people have, but the shows that we've done so far have been pretty good. And I count Brick in that number. But you all did a really fine job. And again, since you weren't able to do it on stage live, it made sense. So thank you very much for being with us. Again, stick around just a little bit. I'm gonna ask you. I know you got to go to sleep soon, but I'm just gonna ask you to stick around while I close out the show, and then you and I will say something together in private. Again, thank you for being with us again tonight on NOLA Theater Talk. Again, my name is Alan Smason, and I hope that you enjoyed our little hour that we had together. Those of you checking out our show, you can find it on the NOLA Theater Folk Facebook group, on the theatercriticism.com Facebook page, as well as on my own YouTube channel. And again, from me to you, Happy New Year. And ladies and gentlemen, I will see you at the theater.